Hey, family. Thank you so much for all of the support that I've received since releasing my book, The Other Side of Leadership: Reclaiming Power and Purpose on Your Leadership Journey. I want to share, for those who have not had a chance to either read the book that they purchased or who have not had a chance to purchase the book just yet, I want to share the preface, which is an open letter to leaders. So let's get into it. Preface. Opening letter. You don't need permission, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Opening letter. You don't need permission, but I'm giving it anyway. Dear leader, if you're reading this guide, I already know something sacred about you. You're becoming. You're showing up in rooms that don't always feel built for you. You're wrestling with doubt while carrying brilliance. You're leading anyway. I wrote this for the woman I used to be. The one pretending in boardrooms, shrinking in silence, and second-guessing every sentence that came out of her mouth. The one who had the title, but didn't yet believe that she had the right to be there. The one who wore straight hair to interviews, hid her paintings of powerful Black images during Zoom calls, and worried that being fully herself might cost her everything. Maybe that woman is you right now. If so, I want to be, to you, what I never had. A hand to hold, a mirror that reflects your magic, a voice whispering, "Come with me, I've got you." Here's the truth. No one ever gave me a blueprint for leading as a woman from the margins. No one taught me how to bridge the space between poverty and power, between invisibility and impact. I had to write it as I walked it, step by trembling step. This is that blueprint. It's not polished. It's not perfect. It's not linear. But it's real. It's hard-won. And it's yours now. Inside, you'll find stories, strategies, and practices that helped me go from hiding to healing, from performing to leading, from doubting to becoming. You'll learn how I moved my body to reclaim it, how I started saying no to opportunities that didn't align, how I began speaking what I sought until I saw it in my life, my circle, and my reflection. Most importantly, you'll be reminded that you don't have to earn your enoughness. You already are. So take what you need, leave what you don't, come back when you're weary. This blueprint is living and breathing just like you. You don't need permission to rise. But if you've been waiting for someone to say, "You belong here, you're allowed to be all of who you are, you're not alone," let me be the first. You've got this. I've got you. With love, Brandis. Part 1. The Becoming. Chapter 1. Cameron's Story. The Empty Seat. Cameron adjusted the hem of her navy blazer for the 4th time, fingerprints brushing the edge like it might unravel if she didn't hold it in place. The fabric was smooth, but stiff, new, like her title, like this room. Her seat at the long mahogany table came with no manual, just pressure. Her palms were already clammy, her notepad still blank inside her leather folio. The boardroom buzzed with the sound of confident familiarity, laughter that came easy, business chatter delivered like rhythm and blues with a cadence only the seasoned seemed to know. She sat halfway between the window and the door, a little too far from the power center, but not quite invisible. Her eyes darted toward the heavy glass walls framing the room. They reminded her of church windows, beautiful, transparent, and just enough to make her feel caged. Cameron J. Morgan, Director of Strategic Initiatives. The nameplate was a declaration. Her name was crisp in black font. It was real. It was earned. It just hadn't settled into her skin yet. She smoothed her skirt over her knees and adjusted her posture. She wore her grandmother's pearl necklace and earrings to boost her confidence. Her nails were perfectly manicured in a neutral shade, strong, rounded, deliberate. Her coils were shaped into a soft halo, not a single curl out of place. She had moisturized with her homemade honey almond shea butter blend that morning, and it mingled with the faint notes of coffee, toner ink, and air-conditioned ambition. She looked like she belonged here, and still, she squirmed in her seat in an attempt to find a comfortable posture. "They said I belonged here," she whispered to herself, her voice barely audible under the clinking of coffee mugs and shifting chairs. "So why do I feel like I need permission to speak?" The room was cool, too cool, designed for wool suits and high-stakes negotiations. The scent of lemon floor cleaner lingered beneath the more expensive notes of someone's oud cologne. Cameron's hands rested lightly on her leather folio. Inside, she had color-coded notes, backup stats, and a brilliant campaign idea. She was ready. Absolutely ready. And yet her heart tapped against her ribcage like a warning knock. A senior VP at the far end of the table dropped a joke about quarterly projections and budget approvals. Laughter followed, easy and full of shared history. Cameron nodded even though she hadn't caught the joke, too distracted by the war happening inside her. She smiled reflexively, the way you do when you're at a cookout full of relatives you've never met but don't want to offend. "Speak up." "Not yet." "Say something." "Don't say the wrong thing." "Smile. Look engaged." "Don't look too eager." She scribbled into her notepad, the pen gliding over the paper. "Add value. Speak soon. Don't mess this up." She had practiced what to say the night before, alone in her bedroom, standing in front of her bathroom mirror, rehearsing variations of, "I agree," and "to build on that." But now, seated in this sterile, echoing space filled with practiced voices and confident gestures, her own voice felt buried under layers of self-doubt. Here, under recessed lights and behind expensive eyeglasses, her voice felt buried beneath protocol and performance. Across the table, someone brought up the campaign strategy. Her campaign strategy. This was her chance. She leaned in, opened her mouth. "To build on that," she had said aloud, "let me offer another lens." She was immediately interrupted by a rumble of voices from 2 seats down. A man, older, louder, less melanated. He spoke as if he owned the very oxygen the people in the room were inhaling. She eased back slowly, the cool leather chair swallowing her resolve. Her gaze drifted to the empty seat beside her. It was untouched. No laptop, no jacket. A void. She imagined it being reserved for someone like her. Someone black, someone brilliant. Someone who was expected to sit and soak up strategy rather than contribute to it. It mocked her with its vacancy. Was it reserved for someone who didn't show up? Or someone who, like her, had shown up and never truly arrived? Around the room, the discussion continued without her contribution. More acronyms, more banter. She glanced at the framed DEI statement on the wall, in bold font and muted colors. It stared back like a promise deferred. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. She chuckled inwardly, not from humor, but from the bitter irony. She was the diversity, the checkbox, the fresh perspective that had not yet been asked for a single perspective. "Thanks for being here, Cameron," someone said as the meeting ended. Not "excellent point," not "well said," just "thanks for showing up," quietly. She inhaled deeply, her scent, the light scent of honey, almond, and shea, wrapped around her like a whisper of who she truly was, a woman not new to brilliance, just new to this space. As the chairs scraped back and the room emptied, she sat still, fingers grazing the cool edge of the table. Her hands trembled slightly from the overstimulation of the moments before. She pressed her palms flat against the glossy surface and steadied herself, almost as if marking territory. She glanced over at the empty seat once more. She imagined it filled with her insecurities, her past shame, guilt, and failures. Then she interrupted those thoughts and imagined replacing the negativity with affirmations about her own resilience, grit, and fortitude. What would it have looked like to speak up today? To offer her brilliance before it was requested? To double down when she was interrupted? She didn't know. Not yet. But she knew that she brought clarity, knowledge, and vision forged in years of preparation to this space. Back in her apartment that night, Cameron slowly and intentionally made her way through her nightly self-care ritual, lighting her favorite scented candles, playing soft music, and immersing herself in a hot bath while reading her favorite urban fiction novel. After climbing out of the bathtub, she completed her skincare routine and gathered her hair into her silk bonnet. She sat on the edge of her bed and looked up at the wall where her diploma hung above the mounds of pillows. She reached for the journal on her nightstand, grabbed the pen she always left next to the journal in case inspiration struck in the middle of the night, opened it to the available empty page, and wrote, "I am not here to decorate the room. I am here to reshape it." The next morning, she arrived early. This time, the chatter in the boardroom didn't feel so suffocating. It felt like a blank canvas. And when the conversation once again landed on campaign strategy, Cameron didn't wait. Her voice was warm, intentional, rooted. Heads turned. Someone wrote something down. She subtly glanced over at the empty chair beside her and smiled as she thought to herself, "Mission accomplished." Author's reflection, from silent spaces to self-authority. I didn't walk into leadership. I stumbled, I tiptoed, I performed. My first leadership role wasn't a grand arrival. It felt like a setup, like someone needed a face that checked a box, and mine happened to be convenient that day. I had the title, but not the voice. The seat at the table, but not the script. The proximity to power, but no real preparation. No one ever taught me how to transition from surviving to leading. No one told me how to go from make it out to make it count. And when you come from poverty, real poverty, you don't just carry your own insecurity. You carry the ghosts of everyone who never made it out. You carry questions like, am I just lucky? Am I supposed to speak up here? Do I even belong? I didn't know what executive presence looked like, at least not in a body like mine. I hadn't seen leadership modeled in a way that felt accessible or even possible for a girl like me. So I watched. I mimicked. I code switched. I smiled more than I spoke. I didn't want to mess up the opportunity, but I also didn't know how to fully take up space. That's what imposter syndrome really feels like. It's not just self-doubt. It's the deep, unspoken fear that your presence is conditional, that if you stop performing, if you show up as your whole self, the doors might close just as quickly as they opened. so I dimmed, and I survived that way for a while. But survival is not leadership. It's not thriving. It's not freedom. And I was meant for freedom. Reflection prompt for the reader. Think of a space where you've been present but silent. Where have you performed instead of participated? What have you internalized about what leaders should look or sound like? Who told you that you couldn't lead exactly as you are?